Hi everyone, we're back with another webinar day, aren't we?
We are.
We've upgraded our cameras so everyone can see us.
Yeah.
And welcome Tom again.
Morning, Tom.
Awesome morning, guys.
So just to set the scene for today, so we're going to be running a webinar. It's meant to be 45 minutes, isn't it, Tom? But we got told off last time because we ran over. So just so everyone knows at the start, we probably will run over because we get excited in tech. But the webinar is structured from 11 till about 12 o'clock, and we structure that way so that people, if they are on the dinners, they can stay on and watch and hang about and ask us questions. And off we go on there. But I think just to sort of set the scene and just sort of pick up where we're going to go today is we're going to be because February is the month of love, isn't it, Dave?
It is, yeah.
And Tom, it's the month of love. I don't know if you got any roses for your wife or chocolates, but no. I got Zoe a lot of prompts. That was the goal. But what we want to sort of talk about today, just before Tom jumps in, is we're going to showcase what you can do when you really have access to good data and make it intelligent. And things we always talk about is, look at this sort of triangle, is we want to make sure first we secure our data, and then we want to make it accessible, and then we want to make it intelligent. And with Copilot, we can do just that. I think we've got a mixture of people on the webinar, Tom. We've got customers, we've got new business people on it. And again, we also have some customers who are using, dare I say it, Google and Gemini, Tom. So don't spit back. But again, even though we are really pushing on Copilot, these prompts will work in any of the large language models, even ChatGPT. So anyway, there's something for everyone to learn in here. But just linking into that, areas that we're going to talk about, we've got a proven process. We call it our digital maturity model, and looking how you can use technology across 5 drivers. And what you're going to see today is Tom using Copilot across what we would say like customer value creation. So how you add value to your customers, and then we're also going to show how it can be used in marketing and for customer attraction, retention, and growth. So you'll see a couple of areas on that, and obviously, we're a cybersecurity first company, and it wouldn't be the same if we didn't talk about security. But ultimately, we're not going to get into that today. We're going to talk about looking at what data we've got, because ultimately we can make that intelligent. Because if we're not careful, and we haven't got our security in place, it's going to be a bit of a car crash for a lot of people, isn't it, Dean? Is where we are. So without further ado, Tom, I'm going to bring your slides to stage, and then we'll hop out and you can bring us in or out as you see fit. So I'll turn it over to you, and then just remember, because on it you'll also need to share your screen as well, so I can bring that on stage. Your screen's not actually on stage at the moment, which we'll need to do as well.
And if anybody's got any questions throughout, feel free to chuck a chat in there. The chat has been monitored, so we'll get back to you with an answer as well.
So over to you, Tom.
Perfect. All right. And thank you everyone for giving up 45 minutes here, maybe going just a little bit over into lunch. As you can see, Dean, Leon, myself here, very passionate about the AI, and I do want to kind of call back to what they just discussed there. Any conversation with AI, you really should start with security. Yes, we're looking at a great kind of new, shiny, potentially business impacting tool here in this AI. Security has to be right alongside that conversation and that thought process when rolling out AI. Privacy very much included into that as well. So I can share a few resources around that as we get into it. But ultimately there's a lot of noise out there on AI. There's a lot of kind of business related things. There's more than enough on social media that I'm sure you guys have seen, kind of various pieces out there. LinkedIn, of course, as every other post is about AI. Really, we wanted to make this valuable. We wanted to make this practical. We want to cut through some of that noise and just leave you today walking away with building a little bit of that muscle, a little bit of that skill set that is prompting. We kind of made that little mention there of Google. My brother actually works for Google, so you can imagine how last Christmas went for us, kind of going home for the holidays and having chats. But realistically, seeing Microsoft Copilot that we're going to talk about a lot today, the skills and things and the ideas that we're going to go through, you can very much apply these to any AI model. And it's simply a human being, myself, you, your employees, speaking to a large language model in order to get something good back. And that's going to be a skill set. That's something that we weren't born with. But we weren't born with the ability to use a search engine, for example. But today you would go to a default web browser, a default search engine, You would type exactly what you need. You would know how to kind of get past the ads and any maybe search engine optimization and find what you're looking for. And you don't even think twice about that when you do that today, because we've learned to do that over the past 10, 15, 20 years. So going forward, prompting is going to be that kind of next skill set that we're all going to have to learn, but it's going to become second nature to us over time. If you guys did miss our first session last month, we do have kind of some of those resources available. I might just touch on a few of those things, and then we're really just going to launch into what this looks like across a couple of the applications. And yeah, very much so. You can see there on the bottom of the screen an absolutely great link to additional resources and things like that with the ThinkCloud team. So let me go ahead and advance my slide here. So again, just a very quick summary. What is Copilot? Again, this is Microsoft's AI offering. It is the same engine as ChatGPT, the parent company being OpenAI. This is the GPT 4.0 model. If you're curious about the specific model, typically when ChatGPT, when they upgrade their general availability model, kind of that free version of GPT, we've seen Copilot follow that upgrade path within about 2 to 5 days. No additional configuration. It'll automatically just upgrade itself to the next iteration, and in the same way that all of our applications do today when kind of a new feature set comes out. There is an image generation component that comes with it. So if you are involved in marketing, social media, branding type things, these image generators are getting astonishing. And I think Leon can even touch on that a little bit later on in the chat about what we're doing with some of the video generation and things like that may ultimately make its way into Copilot as well, through the Sora engine has been mentioned once or twice there, that DALL-E engine you see on the screen there being the image generation. The reason that Copilot is so powerful is because what we're able to do then is kind of take almost a snapshot copy, make that a little bit more of a closed AI. I know that's not a technical term, but when you use ChatGPT, again, that privacy and security risk is that yourself or your employees are uploading sensitive data, personally identifiable information, potentially breaching compliance and things like this. Ultimately, we need to be able to go to bed at night and be able to take a holiday and know that myself and my employee aren't accidentally using things in AI that are going to get us into trouble. Folding this into the tenant means that very much it's going to access your entire Microsoft account. And so tenant is, you can think of this as your entire Microsoft account as a big file folder on your computer. We're simply enabling that as an additional knowledge source into GPT, making it that much smarter, and then also customizes Copilot and its responses, because then that Copilot has access to your emails, to your Teams, to your documents, to your SharePoint. And as far as permission goes, what you currently have permissions available to do today, your Copilot will have permissions to do. So additional configurations can certainly be put into place, but you can access your own OneDrive and your own emails and your own Teams messages, of course, so can Copilot. If one of your colleagues shares a document with you, then your Copilot can then access that shared document and reference it. Yeah, just kind of a brief little overview of the architecture there on how Copilot's working. But let's really just jump into prompting. And so this, I think, is probably the singular most kind of basic, simple, but very effective way to look at prompting. And I'd like to introduce you all to the GCSE framework, if you're not familiar with this. We can see that there, kind of another acronym to add to it, but the goal, the context, the source, and the expectations of what we want. And I really like this because you can see there very clearly in a kind of a 2 or 3 sentence prompt that we're looking at. I've achieved a number of different things. I've told it what I've wanted. I can tell it a little bit about why I want it, or even who I am. I'm a technical consultant. I'm a business leader. I'm a board member. I'm a client and I'm shopping for something. So help me ask questions about things to kind of kick the tires on a few things. And, giving it that context is very critical. And then, of course, the source of where we get this information. There's a lot on the internet. It's the World Wide Web, and there's a lot of noise out there, and that can slow down and make a lot of AI ineffective. You're probably seeing things out there, people going a little bit more bespoke and trimming down these models to have only the data we need. It makes it much more efficient, and or what gets returned is much more accurate. And you can see there in the source, one of the kind of tips that I'll leave you with here today is that you can see their focus on emails and Teams since June. That's kind of a time qualifier, or kind of a temporal qualifier. Some of you out there right now may have just one kind of HR policy in your SharePoint. It's one document. That's the one that Copilot will go out and find. Some of you might have the that current version and 10 previous versions. We all know this happens with every single environment. You're not alone. We update, we recreate documents, branding might get updated. So we put a fresh coat of paint on it and upload it. But, you know, Copilot, if you give it or don't give it a scope, it may go out there and find that document from 5 years ago. And that either might not be relevant or may lead you kind of down the wrong avenue for what you're trying to achieve. That can be very simple then if you add a time qualifier, and it doesn't have to be specific since June. You can make it kind of a rolling, vague thing since the last 6 months, in the past 7 days, in the past year kind of things. And we can do this as well when looking at things like Outlook and Teams. And so when preparing for a one-on-one meeting with my manager, I don't need to know what we talked about 3 years ago. But yeah, if it's kind of a quarterly check-in and we're talking about what's going on, let's maybe look at the last 3 months of our conversations, chats, emails kind of thing. And then, of course, there are just the expectations. What am I trying to do? Let's use simple language because I'm talking to a non-technical audience. Give me the complete, really technical kind of deep dive details because that's who I'm speaking to on it. And this can really produce some great results in prompting. And again, a good place to start if you ever get stuck and you kind of have this analysis paralysis with what can I do with AI, kind of walk yourself through this GCSE framework. It does become more natural over time. So with that, another way of thinking about this, and I really do love this analogy, and I'll be truthful, at first glance, I didn't think this was that great of an analogy, but I can promise you that this is very much true over time, the more and more you use AI. Think of this like a personal assistant. Think of it like kind of an external agency or a junior assistant. The magic, budget fairy came and all of a sudden now you've got a full, every member of your staff has their own personal assistant. It's somebody that's just graduated university, they're collegiate level intelligence, but they have no idea about your job. But as your personal assistant, that person has access to your emails. They have access to your messages, your Teams, your schedule. They have access to different documents that you've shared. But ultimately, they're brand new to you and your organization. You know your job way better than that AI ever will. So you do have to hold its hand a little bit and be very specific about what you want. But ultimately, good data in is going to return good data out. So just having that good conversational nature with it. Again, you can speak very plainly to this in the same kind of informality that we might text each other or do things outside of business, while of course keeping things professional and work appropriate. You can speak to these things more casually, and I just kind of have a conversation with it, and we'll maybe just kind of put my unfiltered thoughts into prompting, and that works very, very much over time. So kind of a good analogy to think, okay, if I'm telling somebody brand new who doesn't know anything, I need to kind of go through it. Or again, if any of you are familiar maybe with some scripting, if you're a little bit more technical, the kind of rubber duck analogy, explain this problem to the rubber duck. Don't explain it to me, explain it to the rubber duck. And you kind of have to talk yourself through that process there. And then here is where I'd like to just share some of the example capabilities. And so this is really the challenge for yourselves. This is the challenge for every business on earth right now is finding out where in this kind of matrix of capabilities that we're looking at, do we find value? Where is this going to help me the most? Where is this going to help my team the most? And it's very difficult just because if you're looking at this right now, we have so many people on this webinar, everybody's looking at something different right now. Some of you are looking at your favorite application. Some of you are looking at an application that you dread using and okay, can it help me do that? And there's going to be various levels of value that come along with putting these things in place. I thought this was just a great slide of kind of overviewing a lot of this content that is going to be in place in there. And very much prompting can accelerate and enhance a lot of these features there, in addition to some of the more kind of background AI type things like following meetings and note taking. Very little prompting required for that, but great features and capabilities that do come with the Copilot. Perfect. So yeah, we'll jump in and we're really going to cover kind of three maybe more advanced types of prompting. And again, we're looking at this through the lens of Copilot, but this is a skill set that absolutely will apply to any AI going forward and know that there's kind of different ways that we need to approach this. And the first one that we're seeing here, of course, is the structured prompt. You can see there consistent, high quality responses. I know what I want. I know what I need. I know what I want that expectation to be returned as. Let's make this predictable, like summarizing my inbox, or every Monday morning, I'm going to do this to prepare for the week type of actions. So I'll go through just a couple of maybe examples then of what that would look like from a couple of different applications. And so here we are in maybe Microsoft Word. Again, this can also work with PDF documentation. Microsoft Copilot can work with PDFs. But you could see there, summarize the main points in 3 bullet points. And so I'm being very specific. Maybe I'm going to generate some slides. And so I don't want a lot of text on the screen like what you're seeing. I want to keep it very clean for my audience with just 3 bullet point summary of things, of the project that I'm working on, or an update on my team's progress. We can see there, kind of summarize the project status in 3 points. What are current blockers, achievements, next steps, and then we can also apply this to internal conversations that we're having. And so we can talk about discussion points from yesterday's meeting. Again, with Copilot, whether or not you attended that meeting doesn't have to apply anymore. You can now follow that meeting with Copilot. And if you're double booked, or maybe you have to take an external call or a conversation with, a client or a customer, you can come back in, catch up on the summary notes, and get a good digest of it without going back and watching that hour-long recording just to get the 5 minutes of relevant content to what you're looking for. Some of you are probably working in maybe finance-related roles and in different aspects where data may be coming to you in Microsoft Excel. And this is something I think I've probably been the most passionate about in Copilot, because I'm not very good at Excel. I've always the same person that does very, very basic formatting. I'm able to go in, and when I get stuck, my process is to hop on a search engine or go to YouTube and just click around, find what I'm doing, and flip back and forth to try to implement very basic things. This has completely upgraded my skill set for Excel, and now I can go in and just say, hey, Copilot, change this column to GBP pound currency, or highlight all values above 10,000 in this particular column, and little things like that, just to visualize the data. Again, simple actions up in the ribbon, but Copilot can then outsource that. And what we're seeing there on the screen is even a little bit of data analysis. And so very much, if you're on the kind of extreme end of Excel, if you're one of the wizards out there that's been using it since day one, and you dream in Excel formulas, potentially you're involved in things like Python and some of the data analysis and forecasting that can be done in it. Copilot very much supports that as well. And so we can see there some very technical type things that we're able to put into place, and looking at stuff like top selling products, maybe taking a look at my customers and my clients and finding relationships on there. There's an absolutely wonderful little prompt that will actually auto-populate inside of Microsoft Excel. Inside of that little prompting window, it'll say, show me a data insight, or the add all insights to grid. That's a fantastically powerful button, and it'll kind of just let Copilot do its thing. Take this static data and provide me some visuals. It'll build out some bar charts or some pivot tables, or find outliers in the data, and maybe help you discover things you weren't looking for, but you ultimately find valuable. And so there's a lot of really cool things we can do in Excel. Very much looking forward to seeing how that's going to continue to evolve to even where we're at today. So very, very exciting there. Outlook as well is something we likely all have to deal with. Everybody's got an inbox or a mailbox. I know not all of us have to work behind a computer all day, but yeah, kind of that unwieldy Outlook box can be a little bit difficult sometimes. If you are in maybe a customer service or maybe customer focused type role, this can be a game changer, and it can help you. And if you're a people leader, this can also help kind of the newer employees that you're bringing into your business. They can come in and they can speak very plainly, respond to the customer email there, acknowledge their inquiry. If maybe we have those resources, confirm things that are in stock, and maybe even give them a kind of an estimate of when that's going to deliver. And, right now in the community, and I'll be transparent, we kind of know what an AI written email looks like. We see, some of those spam emails come into our inbox occasionally, and it very much looks like it's written by AI. And we know that, and some of these drafted emails certainly look like that. Microsoft has confirmed that they are working on a feature that says, make it sound like me. So in the same way that you all have cell phones, and maybe you have some predictive texting on a couple of your applications where it's going to auto-complete the word or auto-complete the sentence, Copilot has access to your outbound emails, your sent Teams messages, it's going to start putting a little bit more of that personalization flavor when that's released. And that could really accelerate this so that you don't just get kind of an inspiration and a framework in that generated email. You get something that you really have to look at, maybe make 1 or 2 changes and send, can help you process that much faster. Little details like this, kind of, again, separating yourself from your competitors means going the extra mile. It's those little details like the confirm your appointment. Yes, we're all set for next Tuesday, but let's go ahead and send just a reminder email to confirm the appointment and put a little bit of personalization in it. And you can see right there, that's a great way to, again, build additional customer rapport, makes you look that much better than against your competition. Perfect. Yeah. And as Dean has mentioned right there in the chat there, if anybody does want a copy of all of this, we're going to share a couple of prompts in the chat, but there are a lot of prompts that we're going to go through here today. You can absolutely get a full copy of that by reaching out to the email address below there to Dean, Leon, ThinkCloud, and the team there. So perfect. And then just to keep on time here, because this is a session, we'll go very quick. And again, yeah, to Dean's there. So if you're, not currently a client with ThinkCloud, you're maybe looking at them and seeing maybe what they can do for it, absolutely reach out to Leon. And again, if you're an existing customer with ThinkCloud, please reach out to Dean. So kind of next up and what we're going to talk about now is against maybe a structured prompt. Let's start maybe comboing these together. Let's chain these prompts together. And I want to kind of do this run prompt A and then run prompt B and then run prompt C. And these iterative prompts, these can be very effective. And again, nobody's ever going to hand you a book and say, this is the absolute best way to prompt. Is it better to use 3 independent prompts or should I write a super prompt and just get a really good super prompt to achieve that action? Those are the kind of things that we're going to have to start learning and figuring out what's working best for us as users and ultimately what we're trying to achieve here. So taking a look at maybe a couple examples of these chained together prompts, this is an absolutely great one, a project proposal in Microsoft Word. This is something many of us do this exact thing or something very similar to it in our roles. And we can see there this iterative prompting and the draft and outline for the training program, focus on kind of X, Y, Z. In the learning objectives section, make sure that we outline competencies and communication, of course. And then, with that, let's go ahead and draft a timeline and milestones section. And let's do a projected schedule training and assessments. And you can see there, this is something that can then be done very, very quickly. And again, it's, February 27th, 2025. The AI is not going to do your job for you. It's not that capable. But where Copilot comes in and you have a good kind of structure and prompting, it's going to do 80%. I call it kind of the 80-20, where it's doing 80% of that tedious admin, the build out, the bullet points. And then that 20% is you get to do what you're good at. You get to fine tune it. You get to look at it and kind of say, oh, I really need to add a section about budgeting inside of this project proposal. And that's the kind of work that you should be focusing on rather than trying to click and style certain documents and just kind of build out the introduction, main body, conclusion type things when we're generating content. Again, have to talk about Excel with this, the data transformation. And, I did talk about a lot of this in that first structured prompting, but, this is a great example here of using a chain prompt. And maybe if you receive an external spreadsheet, one of your suppliers, one of your customers, somebody's kind of sending an export in either that CSV or Excel format, and it's always in kind of an ugly format. We need to clean that up a little bit. Let's clean that by removing duplicates and correcting any inconsistent date formats, currencies, things like that. Once that's done, let's calculate the total order value per customer. And then honestly, I need to present this stuff to my staff or to my board members. And so let's go ahead and visualize my top 10 customers in order by value on a nice bar chart. And you can see the very plain language that we can use to achieve that. Again, 80-20, it's not going to complete that presentation for you, but you don't need to spend time configuring a little bar chart in Excel. You can spend time branding the bars to be either green or red or within your company's color scheme to kind of fit the company branding guidelines. And that's the kind of stuff that will help really make the data look good. And for those of you out there, very much like myself, take a lot of that stress in putting together Excel formulas together to get things in place. Last up here in the chaining prompts is going to be kind of email summaries in Outlook. And this is something where I think, again, one of the bigger impacts is being able to, take a holiday. And the worst part of a holiday, everybody knows it. It's that first Monday back at work. It's that looming dread of the inbox that you have to sort through. And most of us mentally budget a half a day or even a day or two if it's up in the hundreds. I know those mailboxes absolutely exist. Here we can now come in and do things like if I'm meeting for a weekly client, summarize the emails from client A in the past week. I've been working with this guy for 5 years. I don't need 5 years of comms. I just need to know what we've been doing recently so that I can catch up and hit the ground running when we get our conversation going. Let's go ahead and organize these by request. Let's make sure that we're talking about what they want to talk about or what needs or concerns they've brought up in our conversations. And let's make it very simple, 1 sentence per point, and then we can expand on that in the meeting. And then last but not least, let's go ahead and just draft a nice follow-up email acknowledging the request. We'll maybe provide any updates if we need to, and then maybe have AI take a crack at maybe addressing some of the feedback, whether that's positive or negative. The generative AI, again, it is getting a little bit smarter over time because it's got your entire Microsoft account connected to it. It likely knows your business a little bit better than you do from a purely data sponging and technical standpoint. If it has access to it via the permissions, it will leverage that information in a great way here for these generative responses. And then I think, kind of the third one here, and I've heard an argument that this is similar to the chained prompting, but there is kind of a key contextual difference in contextual prompting. And this would be taking advantage of a prior interaction. And then this makes the prompts that much more dynamic. And so this can be an action that you took 5 or 10 minutes ago, or this could be an action that happened last week or while you were on holiday or last month. And if you refer to certain things, put certain things into context, again, it just goes back to that good data in, good data out. You're going to have that tailored response come into you. This one is an absolutely great one. Anybody out there in marketing can appreciate the complexity and the time spent putting together certain proposals and things. And we're just looking at a basic marketing campaign. And you can see there are 3 very good prompts, but it's a prompt A is let's draft an outline for the digital marketing campaign. I've got sections again for X, Y, Z. Using the objectives, let's write a strategy section with 3 main tactics. And so this is prompt B referencing what's in prompt A. So B would not be able to be run because A didn't exist yet. So we needed A. And then based off of what A created, let's go ahead and run prompt B to get the strategy sections in place and the objectives. And then we can close it out by, based off those strategies listed, let's estimate a budget. Let's have it go ahead and see just how much we can get into the budget with that. And Dean, Leon, absolutely, please come on to this. I was going to bring you guys up to this because I know you guys are way heavier into the projects than I am. So I do want to just take a pause here and hear some thoughts from you guys on this. Oh, I am maybe not getting audio from you guys.
Oh, we've got audio. We're back.
Got it.
I think we should get great job there, Tom, our Copilot. So we did that. But we want to discuss the project management. We're heavily invested in this. I've got some bits on marketing, but do you want to pick up your bits?
No, I think just what you're saying. Obviously, everybody is going to have different use cases for Copilot. So it's quite interesting what you're saying then. It's given me some ideas because at the minute I'm not using it for Outlook to summarize emails and prioritize emails, where in regards to projects, it's helping me a lot in regards to sort of things like resource allocation, setting a clear scope of work, even down to things like clear comms, internal and external. So with our staff as to what they should be doing on the projects, and in regards to keeping the client up to date as well. So for me, Copilot's been brilliant for that. But I'm just getting ideas of how we can best improve. And I think a lot of my project tasks come through email where I'm not utilising Copilot enough at the moment for that. So I think that's an area where I'm going to start looking into. But I think it's just, like I said, the use case scenario is every single person watching this video is going to have a different idea of how they can use Copilot. And I think setting those prompts up to help them succeed is a great way to start, really. There's bits in there I've not seen, so I think it's quite useful. And I think also, Tom, to link into that, I think I am using it in email, and I think Scott's in the chat in there. I
don't like spending time on email. I really struggle. So I'm using it to summarize and pick up on my top priority emails so I can make sure I'm getting things done. But then I'm using it in marketing. I've got a specific use case I'll show towards the end. It's just been transformational from writing scopes, briefs, and there was a comment you mentioned a minute ago, Tom, in terms of it knows your business better than you. It does. It knows it far better than me. And I think we've got to start accepting that because, if we want different results, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting new results. We've got to do something different, haven't we, Tom? So I'm with you on that. I think it's absolutely transformational. But I'm going to share a workflow of doing a marketing video, a prompt, and I'll also share a prompt with you, which I just think has been amazing. And the full workflow took about 25 minutes to do and produce what you're going to see. But any other bits you want to pick up on that, Tom? Any discussion points? I don't want to leave you alone.
No, that's great. And the only thing is I would mention to Dean then is with Outlook, the other thing that has drastically changed my work-life balance, because I'm a big tech nerd. I love this stuff. It's great. But I know that this is not long-term sustainable when I can't turn it off when I go home at night or on the weekend, or I'm sitting there thinking about things and worried. One that I look at after I prioritize my emails is I run a similar prompt, or I've worked through a couple different iterations of who did I forget to reply to? Did I reply to everybody today? And because I clicked on an email, so it's marked red, and then I forgot about it because of course I got distracted doing something. This lets me really turn off my brain because I'll run these prompts at the end of my work day or even the end of my work week. You can bake this into a Friday afternoon exercise and just say, look at my emails for the past 7 days, prioritize them by urgency, and let me know who I forgot to respond to.
Right.
And then maybe you even add in a prepared draft responses for it. And again, you may not send that AI, but if you have 10 urgent reply today emails, but Copilot's gone ahead and at least given you a framework of what that looks like, that's going to take a lot of stress off of you just going in, and then you can kind of sort through those a little bit quicker. And personally speaking,
that's a great one. Yeah. I mean, we had an example yesterday where a client had contacted me directly, didn't copy Scott in, so we were sort of on different paths as to where we was on a certain project. So things like that, I can be using Copilot to sort of prompt me and bring those messages to the front of the screen.
How do you think I rang you on 2 key messages yesterday?
Yeah.
I rang on 2 key messages on 2 client-specific problems.
Yeah.
And I was in the car driving.
Yeah.
What did I do before I got in the car?
Yeah, probably gathered it all. Yeah. This is it.
And then rang Dean for SOL, help me.
Yeah. But it's the same thing, because the reason you did that though was because you were scared of forgetting about you. You was traveling. You was out the town. You was thinking, if I missed that message, I need to ring somebody now and get it. Where that prompt itself would be game changer.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers, Tom.
Perfect. Yeah. And you guys just brought up a great point as well. Copilot is 100% mobile friendly. So for your iPhones and your Androids out there, that's a great use case for the drafting feature. You might type out an email right now on your computer because you get a nice big keyboard. But if you travel a lot, you're on trains, you're in cars, you're stuck in traffic. Again, observe the rules of the road. Don't text and drive, obviously, kind of stuff. But if you're a passenger, it's really difficult to sit there and kind of hammer out a big professional sounding response email, whereas I can just write me a professional response to my leader telling them that, whatever, I'll have the project done by Thursday. And that, can be a good use case of it. But everything that, we've seen that does apply to the mobile versions of this stuff as well.
It's good. Appreciate it, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Great. And just to wrap up here a little bit here with a couple more examples, and then we'll kind of, I'll leave you with a great prompt. That's what, in addition to the deck that you guys can get and can look through for inspiration, we'll drop a couple of prompts into the chat to take advantage of. But again, here's contextual analysis of what that would look like inside of Excel, and, sales and commercial targets and numbers. We know that this is kind of an evolving, constantly evolving conversation. We're always looking at things, we're reassessing and doubling down on what works, and then maybe walking back a little bit on what's not working, or we can't figure out why it's not working. There's something in the data that I just can't read. That's where Copilot can come in. And so we can see things like, just calculate something like monthly revenue, very simple for each of my categories. And then using that context, using that data, let's create just a summary table with my top 3 products, because it's a quarterly business review and I need to get that in place. Perfect. Yeah. And then I see on screen here, we can cut back to that there. But kind of in the third prompt then is based off these top categories. And this is really where the AI is here, the future is here. Let's do some forecasting. I don't need to go into a full blown, very complex type of thing like a Power BI. Fantastic program, does a lot of really great data analysis, but you can achieve a lot of stuff right out of just good old fashioned Excel. And I love being able to start going in there and doing forecasting or distribution. And the one that stuck out to me was it found outliers in the data. I had kind of 60,000 rows. I was stress testing it with some open source data that I got. And in 60,000 rows, it combed through it and identified 2 outliers in the data. As a human being, I would have never been able to do that in kind of the old way that I used to work. And so that's the kind of things that we're going to achieve with Copilot going forward. Kind of last but not least, and we talked a little bit about this here just now with Dean and Leon, but Outlook, again, we keep coming back to this, one of the more powerful areas of Copilot. There is a feature where you can transcribe and summaries. We've entirely replaced our third-party note taker with Microsoft Copilot. I can tell you that it is that good. It creates professional summaries, and whether or not you attended the meeting is irrelevant. And that's weird to say, but you can attend the meeting, turn on the note taker and have it take notes so that you can listen and pay attention and be in that moment. But also, again, if you're very busy, you're double booked, you're on holiday, instead of just watching a recording is the only option we have today, use that follow feature and then summarize the action items assigned during today's meeting. Based off that, maybe draft some follow-up emails, and then potentially let's schedule some reminder emails. And I think we're right on the verge of that becoming an actionable thing where we don't quite have the capabilities today to schedule meetings directly through Copilot. I can't imagine that we don't have that feature in place by 2025 or even into next year a little bit, if not sooner, just because we're right on the cusp of really taking fully autonomous, go ahead and prepare draft responses to these 10 urgent emails and have them be sent out fresh at 8 a.m. or send the urgent ones now and keep everything else for an 8 a.m. kind of delayed send for tomorrow morning. But lots of really, really good details in there. And so hopefully that was kind of a good overview and maybe just a bit of a summary. We went through structured prompts, getting that consistent, high quality, kind of predictable output. We did the chaining of the prompts, and that's run prompt A, and then run prompt B, and then run prompt C. And again, I'll use that analogy of the search engine. If you're looking for multiple things, you don't necessarily go type a whole paragraph into Google. You type one thing and then you search for another thing, and kind of breaking that up can work very well. And again, Dean, Leon, go ahead.
I was just going to link in again because we have, and I'll run it in the background because we're not going to jump massively into the tools, but we've played this previously. This was just like in my own inbox last month, and the picture will be a little bit blurry. I didn't record it in 4K, Tom, so people watching it. But I think we can just have a bit of a discussion in terms of this is just me interacting with Copilot. And like you mentioned there, it can't fully schedule the meetings, but it can schedule meetings for yourself at the moment. It's getting better, every day. And something we keep talking about internally is, at the moment, this is the worst this technology will ever be. Tomorrow it's going to be better,
yes,
and a little bit better, and a little bit better. So for me, you see me just run through it in my inbox here. So I'm catching up on courses I'm building, marketing things I'm doing. It's when me and Scott went to Edinburgh last month. When you saw me book Edinburgh Castle in there. For me, it's just blown me away, Tom, in terms of the way that we're using this technology and how it integrates. But then I think it's that data layer that sits underneath that. Would you agree on that? Because you've mentioned it a few times there.
Absolutely. And it, talking like data, like a SharePoint site, like having things properly organized, and there's kind of features out there like sensitivity labels or retention policies, and if your industry or your business is involved in kind of compliance or regulatory things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Having that data hygiene as well as security around it it's going to make Copilot that much more effective. Great, kind of comment there about the AI is as bad as it ever will be. I'd maybe add maybe kind of a sister comment to that and say, right now, everybody, your data is as small as it will ever be. You're only going to add more things into SharePoint. You're never going to get around to going back to cleaning up that one site because you're going to have created 2 more sites before you can even find the bandwidth or the time. So it, you see those bar charts of the data storage, they're approaching that infinity curve because we're storing and recording more things and uploading it. So this is an action that you should take sooner rather than later to get your data under control. How clean is your own house is kind of an analogy we use with talking about that. But yeah, think about how small your SharePoint was maybe 5 years ago, where it is today, and where it's going to be in 5 years. And that's something, to keep in mind with kind of scaling Copilot and keeping it effective over time.
Yeah. Tom, just another one to any customers watching. I'm just sort of gathering ideas for myself at the minute, how I can use Copilot in Outlook. So I'm going to have sort of several prompts I would use on a daily, weekly basis, if you like. Is there a way you can template these prompts so you've got them at the click of a button rather than continuously pasting them in? Like it's obviously the demonstration they've been pasted in. Can you template the prompts?
It's kind of a gray area answer to that at the moment. I think Microsoft is still probably working on the better way. What we've recommended, and again, internally, we're using a prompting library. So rather than talk about any one specific thing, it's the idea of that exactly what you said. If me or the team create 5 or 10 really cool, really big prompts, how do I share them? Where do I store them? For those of you with very, few users, you can do that in a Teams channel or a shared Word or OneNote document. What we've done is we've actually found a Power App inside of the Microsoft App Store. It's a free Power App. It's sandboxed to our tenant. And we're able to chuck everything in there. And then just because of, Power Platform is really cool, we can actually upvote and downvote some of our prompts so that we kind of get a community feedback, almost like a forum style for it. But yeah, that's an absolutely great point because I am not the best prompter at my organization. Somebody else is. And, again, not to go entirely off the tangent, we kind of have this looking into how we can work with people that are neurodivergent. I have a few people that are neurodivergent on my team. They may be the best prompters. They may think in the way that their brains are wired. They may be 10 times the prompter that I am, but I want to be able to take advantage of those prompts when they get created. Absolutely sharing and collaborating, or at least having a long-term storage strategy.
And Tom, linking into that, what I actually use, I use a app called Paste. Again, we need to look at this. If but it's an app I have on my iPhone, my Mac, and I can copy shortcuts for everything because I struggle writing anyway. I used to use it previously, and what I've done for now is I've just copied all my favorite prompts in there, so I can just quickly jump it, and it actually sits inside my keyboard. It's a great little app. So I've got LinkedIn messages. It's a fantastic little app because I can't really spell anyway. So I was using that prior to Copilot, so you can use little things like that. And there's a whole host of tech like that on there. Mm-hmm. But I think what's interesting, and again, we didn't want to go too far into the tech, but we're still showcasing on screen there. I think we're just getting started in terms of where this tech's going, aren't we, Tom? And I think, as we sort of are approaching the 45 minutes, the bits I was going to sort of finish on as well, and just sort of link back. If I just bring to stage again, I'll keep you on screen, Tom, we'll just sort through this. So, as you look at this, our sort of proven process, I'm going to show you a way that we're using it in marketing. And there's a fantastic use case. So there's a prompt in this. It's more of a personal prompt, since it's the month of love. But I think you should, love yourself more and have a bit of introspection, Tom, this prompt that I've put together. And I'll just bring this on the stage now. So this is an example where it's a fantastic prompt. And here's the prompt for anyone who wants it. And again, you can drop me an email or Dean an email, and we'll shoot that over to you. You can just copy it off screen. But if you put this into the prompt, into the system, it's absolutely mind-blowing. But then taking that a step further, and I jump back to in terms of our marketing strategy, I came up with that idea. I used that prompt. I found it amazing. And then we've got an AI version of me. And this full video was created, scripted through Copilot. We did all of the prompting in it, and it took about 30 minutes to edit and do. So I'll just bring this on.
We all play roles: the husband, the father, the friend, the boss, the one who always has it together. But is that really you? Or just a story you're stuck in? found a game-changing prompt that ripped through my illusions. And today I'm giving it to you. Here it is. I want to uncover the masks I'm currently wearing, the roles I am playing and the illusions I'm believing. Please guide me through this process by asking me 10 relative deep questions one at a time to help me recognise the stories I'm telling myself. After I answer the 10th question, please step into the role of my higher self. Analyse my responses, identify the negative patterns in my life and the top positive patterns I can embrace to grow. Be direct, honest. Dark truth is welcome. Provide me with daily tips, affirmations to support my growth, small actionable steps to change my behaviours and embody my authentic self, and a practical message of encouragement from my higher self. When you run this prompt with AI, the results are truly magical. It asks 10 deep, revealing questions, one by one. No filters, no BS. Then it steps in as your higher self, exposing the patterns that hold you back and the ones that can set you free. Here's the craziest part. This entire video, it was created with a prompt too. That's the power of AI. That's the magic. So are you brave enough to try? I've dropped the full prompt in the chat. Copy it, run it, and meet yourself like never before.
So again, Tom, I think where this is all going. I think it's absolutely mind blowing. Is where this tech's going. But any bits you want to pick up on?
No, I think it's been great. I think just a lot of the prompts. I'm eager to get going with Outlook and see where Copilot can help me. And I think I'm missing a trick at the minute. I know it's fairly new. We've not had Copilot long, and every day it's getting better. Every day is a learning day. Like Scott's just mentioned in the chat there, there's an app which is the Copilot prompts gallery, and I knew about that, so that'd be great. Something for me to get hooked in and take a look at.
And I think existing customers can reach out to you, can't they?
Any email. Questions and then
any sort of new customers can reach out to me. But I think, Tom, what I want to sort of stress as well, we're all pushing out with there's lots of new training out there at the moment. It's changing by the day. Me and you are sort of front of the field, but it changes every day for me and you, doesn't it? And different prompts, and for all of us, same for Dean, same for Scott. What advice would you have to anyone out there? Because it is hard to sort of keep abreast of this change, isn't it?
And it's going to take effort on everybody's end, is what I would say. Be deliberate, and so maybe don't try to go to every single AI seminar and thing, or kind of lose yourself in watching hours and hours of videos. You can see me smiling there because, as soon as I finish learning something, it's either been updated, retooled, or it's no longer relevant, and in a very good way. And addressing what Dean said as well about this is new to me. I've had a license for close to a year. It still feels new to me. This is new to the whole world, and absolutely love what Microsoft has done with it. But Microsoft as an organization, they have this tendency to create some of the best technology on earth. And then the way that they roll that out is they kind of just chuck it to us as a community to do it. And they really, have us as service providers and IT professionals and business owners and stakeholders and decision makers really wrap our heads around where we're going to get the best use cases out of it. So the only thing that I would add to it is that while we all have individual kind of prompting skills to build, we're not alone in this AI conversation. And it's okay to feel a little bit lost. And so, that's comforting to hear from that side of things. So,
I love that, Tom. And then just some final sort of housekeeping for people on there, extra ways we can help. And we've got access to our Cloud Academy. You can jump online. There's tons of resources over on the Cloud Academy they can download. There's our original ChatGPT course we did. You're giving them some free discount codes.
If any customers need access or want access to one of the courses on there, if you just reach out to me, I can get you enrolled. We've
got a podcast where we talk about different stuff, don't we? And then let me just jump off this. There is the other one. And then finally, new ways. If you've got any new business out there, we're helping with a technology assessment that we're making available online, where we assess the business and assess if you are digitally ready. It's one of the challenges for businesses, and me and Scott was debating this with you, Dean, as well, in terms of what is AI ready, because some businesses don't want to be using it, so that they won't be ready. And it's just making sure that what technology are they using? Are they using the right technology? Are they the right assets? Because there's a lot of change coming, and it's making sure that are the AI ready? Is the big challenge. So again, on that, you can reach out to me on that, and we can pick that up. And internally, you're assisting clients as well, aren't you? On that, to make sure they have got a strategy in place. So Tom, I'm just going to try and bring us back. Where is it? Let's have a little look. We unhide that one. It's like running a movie studio here, isn't it? With all the different buttons. But no, it's been absolutely fantastic. And no, Tom, I can't thank you enough for the support in this. But again, I'll just sort of leave other people with this. The recording will be live on YouTube. We'll share that out. Again, it's on YouTube. It's on all our channels. Sign up to our Cloud Academy. Go have a little discovery. Go, and reach out to us. But that's enough from me. It's been a fantastic session again, Tom. Thank you as always. We've got another one next month, haven't we? And then an in-person event. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Any closing points from you, Dean?
No, it was great. I just want to thank you for your time, Tom, and thanks to everybody that's attended. Like I say, any questions or if anybody thinks of anything after this, please feel free to give me a call, drop me an email, and I'll support you where I can.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
thanks, Tom. Any closing points from you?
No, I mean, just this is exciting. It's one of those just the cliched. I wish we knew we were living in the moment before the moment has passed. We are in the AI moment. Your children's children will look back and said, "You were alive for this when this happened." It is that big of a deal, and I am not being grandiose when I say that. This is big, and it's fun, and it's a little scary sometimes. But again, collaborate, ask for help. That's how we're going to succeed. That's how we're going to wield this for good and positive business impact. So I've not been more excited in my whole career than I have been this year. So very exciting times.
And my last bit, Tom, we actually nailed this one. We were on track. We used the technology right, whereas I made some mistakes last time. That's why we overran, but all good. So thanks again. So that's Leon checking out.
Yeah, Dean checking out. Thanks, Tom.
Tom's checking out. All right. Have a good afternoon.